Cyber risk is moving on several fronts at once, from active threats to broader defensive pressure. Welcome to the Kernel Panic Brief. Today, we're covering several major cybersecurity developments that matter for defenders, security leaders, and incident response teams. Supply chain and third-party dependency risks appeared across several stories, reinforcing downstream exposure concerns. Our next story is Keyv-linked NPM worm poisons hundreds of packages, plants Claude code and VS Code hooks. A credential-stealing NPM worm that first appeared in Keyv at version 6.0.0 spread beyond the Keyv and cacheable namespaces into hundreds of packages across multiple organizations on August 4, 2026. SafeDep verified 353 poisoned versions across 79 package names in the NPM registry. Its monitoring put the wider footprint at 442 versions across 353 names, while Aikido later reported at least 868 packages. Why this matters? The story signals a meaningful cybersecurity development that may affect defender priorities, exposure, or monitoring. For defenders, the immediate takeaway is to validate exposure, review detections, and confirm that response playbooks still match the current threat picture. Our next story is new cPanel critical flaw could let hosting customers run SQL as database root. cPanel has patched a flaw that let an authenticated hosting customer execute SQL in the database's root context, crossing the privilege boundary between a cPanel account and the server's administrative database identity. It's shipped in a targeted security release that closes two other routes past account boundaries. The database bug is tracked as CVE 2026-58048, CVSS 4.0 score 9.4, and affects why this matters. The story includes a specific vulnerability and remediation signal, which makes it directly actionable for defenders. For defenders, the immediate takeaway is to validate exposure, review detections, and confirm that response playbooks still match the current threat picture. Our next story is new passkey attacks let malware hijack Google-synced passkeys. Security researchers have discovered 3 attacks that allow malware on already compromised Windows devices to abuse Google Password Manager's synced passkeys to take over accounts, bypass user verification, and extract passkey private keys. Why this matters? The story signals a meaningful cybersecurity development that may affect defender priorities, exposure, or monitoring. For defenders, the immediate takeaway is to validate exposure, review detections, and confirm that response playbooks still match the current threat picture. Our next story is some Claude chats are searchable on Google, and its personal information. The exposed data includes an AI-powered therapy app that someone appears to have vibe-coded, notes on meetings, and a dashboard someone made apparently to analyze medical billing data. Exposed chats reportedly include private cryptocurrency wallet keys and personal information like people's addresses. What seems to be the issue is a user setting about data sharing. Anthropic's position is that it's not their problem. We give people control over sharing their Claude conversations publicly, and in keeping with our privacy principles, we do not share chat directories or sitemaps of search engines like Google, the company said in a statement. These shareable links are not guessable or discoverable unless people choose to share them themselves. When someone shares a conversation, they are making that content publicly accessible, and like other public web content, it may be archived by third-party services. Here's how to fix it. Why this matters. The story signals a meaningful cybersecurity development that may affect defender priorities, exposure, or monitoring. For defenders, the immediate takeaway is to validate exposure, review detections, and confirm that response playbooks still match the current threat picture. Our next story is when vibe hacking turns AI into the junior hacker every adversary always wanted. The cybersecurity industry has spent decades assuming that offensive capability scales with technical expertise. That assumption is starting to break. Security teams have long estimated risk by ranking attacker sophistication. Nation-state actors sat at one end. Organized criminal groups followed. Inexperienced attackers, dismissed as script kiddies, sat at the other end, running public. Why this matters. The story signals a meaningful cybersecurity development that may affect defender priorities, exposure, or monitoring. For defenders, the immediate takeaway is to validate exposure, review detections, and confirm that response playbooks still match the current threat picture. That is your Kernel Panic Brief. If you rely on this roundup, follow the channel for the next daily cybersecurity briefing.